Hey, this is Paul Mazurkowitz from Cannibal Corpse, and I am speaking with Stepping Out Magazine. Well, we recorded with Mark Lewis for A Skeletal Domain, coming out here in September, and it was our first time working with him, of course. We worked with Eric Rutan for the last 3 records, and he did an amazing job on those albums, and he's an amazing producer, an amazing guy and friend of ours. But we just felt it was time to change it up a little bit, to just add some new excitement kind of to the camp, I guess. So we're not getting complacent with the same people or what have you. And that's really the only reason why we did it. But we knew Mark was going to do a great job. We know his work. We've heard it from a lot of the bands he's done, and we felt that he would be able to capture us, and do a great job. He would be able to make an amazing Cannibal record, and we were very confident in that. And we wanted to give him a chance. So yeah, we did it down in, he lives in Sanford, Florida. That's where Audio Hammer is, and not too far away from our house. We're in the Tampa area, but yeah, he did an amazing job with the record. We couldn't be happier. Really not at all. I mean, there's been very, very minimal instances where the producer would have anything to do with maybe the music. We've always been 100% pretty much sure what we want to do as a band, and we want to write our own songs. We have the capability. And yes, I'm sure there's a lot of producers, and especially in the old sense of a producer, where they come in and they have to work with a band, to make a sound or to develop, because they just maybe can't do it. We always felt confident that we can write songs, and we're happy with the songs we write, and we felt we don't need help. We don't want help. That's just been our mentality. So when we go into record, we're as prepared as we can be, and those songs are as final as they can be. Like I said, there's been a couple things here and there, that where we have to maybe rework a beat or something that just wasn't working out in the studio, and but those things are very minor in over the course of our career and how many albums we've done. Yeah, I think our producers are really there more just to capture the sound, to make their suggestions, of course, like you said, but it's really always minimal. I mean, I think at this point in our career, we're technically co-producing our records. We know what we want, we know how to get the sounds we want and everything. We're not new to this whole thing, so we want our producer to just kind of work in conjunction with us. Of course, they make listen, Mark made his suggestions, and there's been a couple minor things, maybe in some vocals that all right, we changed a line, we didn't repeat that twice, or something like that. But like I said, overall it's pretty minor, in the whole way a producer is going to affect any of our songs. It's not going to be very overpowering at all. Well, that's a good question, and it has changed a little bit. I mean, when we look back at how we started and playing and writing in the early days, it was a total band effort. It was a collaboration between the 5 of us, basically, just coming up with ideas and throwing them around in the practice room and developing songs. So. We did it like that way for the first 3 albums, pretty much. It was just a big collaboration. I remember around The Bleeding Time, which would have been our 4th CD, in '94, we actually started writing some of the songs more of from an individual standpoint, like Alex just actually writing a song from beginning to end by himself. That kind of was the beginning of that, I guess, and which leads us to the future, where pretty much everything is done that way these days. When you look at credits on the CDs, it'll say, music by Alex, or, music by Rob, or, music by Pat for the most part. But you don't see a lot of collaborative efforts anymore. I mean, we still have them, but they're few and far between these days. And those guys just, like to write by themselves, come up with the ideas, and really work on a song with one individual as opposed to everybody. It does seem like it makes things a little more cohesive in the song process, writing process, when just one guy is taking care of it, But we wrote some great songs that became, like I said, was a collaborative effort, So I think it works both ways. But for us these days, it's more of an individual thing going on with the particular songwriter, and crafting the song that way. It's a tough one. I think all the songs are great. I really do. I love a lot of them. I love all of them. I mean, and they're all different, and that's good. But I don't know. I think the title track, "A Skeletal Domain," is very powerful, very epic. Probably one of Pat's songs best songs they'd ever wrote. The riff in that, the main verse riff is just very catchy. It's a very groovy song. I think that's one of my favorites. Then there's, there's so many though. I listen, I think of all the songs, and I'm like, oh, yeah, this song, that song. I mean, they're all different, and they're all really, really well-crafted Cannibal Corpse songs. But I'd probably, if I have to pick one, I'll go with the title track, "A Skeletal Domain." Not at all. The message has always been we're Cannibal Corpse. We're writing horror stories or short horror stories or what have you to music, and that's what we do today, and that's what we've done every album. Nothing has changed in that regard. I mean, we're just a fictional horror band, and we've been just doing our thing for 25 years, and this is the next chapter in the story of Cannibal Corpse, basically. Well, myself personally, because we're all writing songs these days lyrically, I write and have written lyrics to every Pat song that's ever been written for Cannibal Corpse. Kind of a weird little thing. But Alex writes his songs lyrically. Rob's writing his songs lyrically. Jack, when he was in the band, was doing the same. And this was all post, Barnes. But myself these days, it's just been absorbed. I've been, been doing this for so long, and I just bring it from within my imagination. I just delve in, dig deep, knowing I got to write some songs, I got to, come up with some lyrics, and I just do it, So basically that's it. I just delve into the imagination. We have maybe a song title. Mostly that's how I work. I have a song title which will give me a somewhat of a concept, where sort of a direction. Maybe the direction fully doesn't come to light until I start writing some of the lyrics, but these days it's just really from within, just pulling these stories out of my own imagination. Yeah, pretty much, and I looked at that way too, the way how I've changed over years in the way I wrote those lyrics, not even in an inspirational way, but just the dynamics, what I was doing. I used to love, I needed the dictionary or I needed the thesaurus, and I felt that was huge. I don't do that anymore. The last few albums, I really want to do them as organic as possible. The words are coming out of me that I would use on a daily basis or what have you, instead of finding those. And I've done it in the past. There's songs I look back on, wow, I don't even remember the meanings of half of these words because, I looked them up and they're cool, but, you don't use them on a daily basis. And, it was, I don't know, I didn't want to write like that anymore. I wanted to be very organic. I wanted all of this to come from my head without a thesaurus, without a dictionary. And that's how I wrote the last few records, with my songs, being as organic and as natural as possible. It's been very positive. I mean, we're lucky to have a great fan base, a very excited fan base. I mean, they can't wait for our next release, pretty much, or our next thing that we're going to do or what have you. And this is no different. We've been getting great positive responses for the song that's out there, Sadistic Embodiment. And everybody seems very excited to want to hear the new record, so that's good. I think once it's finally out, then we'll see what happens. But I think the fans are really going to dig this record, and I hope they're as excited as we are at this point, which I believe they are. Well, I mean, it's going to help tremendously these days. I mean, obviously everyone's got a computer. They can get on at their fingertips and find anything out that they want about their favorite bands and all this, and where they're touring or when albums are coming out. So it's huge these days, I think. We have our own, of course, like personal pages, Facebook and all that. But yeah, it's management. It's we're running the Cannibal Corpse stuff, and Metal Blade helps, of course. But yeah, I mean, when you got management, that's what they do. They have to help out in those ways and take care of a lot of our social media sites and all that. But I think it's a big deal. In this day and age, you need it, and it's very useful, of course, to promote the band, to promote any band, to promote anything, to get that information out there in any way. It's great to have social media for this, of course. Yeah, very different, of course. And when you look back and there's no cell phones and no internet back then. I mean, yeah, it's just the old school way of promoting, through magazines, I guess, and stuff like that. But yeah, it's come a long way. And and maybe that's why we're doing even better these days than we did in the past, because even in this whole age of lack of CD sales, well, we're selling better than we ever have, and I think it's probably maybe in due part to the exposure you're getting online, where back then exactly how is death metal getting promoted? Back in the early 90s, you're not on MTV, you're not in the major magazines, so it's all word of mouth, it's fanzines, it's all that kind of stuff, and that's how it was done. So I think it's good to have it this way now, because yes, you can be some band, and kids can get their music out there, and people can hear it easily, and by just exactly click of some buttons, and it's at everybody's disposal. So easy to obtain things. So I think it's helped big time for us to for everybody, for bands to succeed and get bigger. So yeah, it is kind of crazy to think back in the day where it was so limiting, for death metal especially. So yeah. Yeah, right. Well, that's what happens. I mean, that's what it was. I mean, people get wind of things, and it does travel fast, even by word of mouth, or said in avenues that are maybe not as modern or mainstream. With just fanzines back in the day. That was such a big deal. To promote. But yeah, it's a different era these days. So. I mean, you're sacrificing just like maybe a home life kind of a thing, or just a normal home life. I mean, I'm now a father, and I'm married and all that, and that came in the middle of the band, so I mean, when you're not tied down to anything, and you can live free, you can be out on the road 24/7 if that's what you want, and if you don't have a family or wife or whatever, kids, then it's going to be different. So really, the way I look at it for me now, I'm sacrificing being from not being home, and not being with my daughter and my wife, and living that life, which is ultimately the most important thing I think in the world, family and friends, and that's what it comes down to. So yeah, this is what we do. We're doing this because we love to do it, but there's always going to be sacrifice, and for me, that's the sacrifice at this point. Being away from my kids, it's tough. Everybody thinks this is a glamorous life we're in, and we lead, and they just see us playing and they want to be a musician. They want, but there's a lot of hardships involved, whether it's travel, and exactly just constantly having to do things that are surrounded with your band, which is why you want to be here though, and why you became a musician, But sometimes, yeah, just leading any kind of normal life is a little tougher, because you're always going to be gone. You're going to be doing things of that nature, and it's tough. It's tough, I think, for a lot of people. So we're right here, being we're around for 25 years. We made a living off this. This was our dream. We started out as kids playing music, and every kid is going to have those dreams and aspirations in the back of their heads. You want to be the famous actor, the famous athlete, or in a band, or what have you. So for us to be living our dream, and here we are, like I said, 25 years later, and been around the world and selling the records we do, and arguably the biggest death metal band there is. I mean, those, just being here and still doing this, that's been our reward, of course. I mean, it's incredible. So, well, the new album will be out September 16th via Metal Blade Records, our one and only record label for our whole career, and it's called A Skeletal Domain, and you can pre-order it at any of these shows on Mayhem, or you can go to metalblade.com. I'm sure they have a bunch of stuff up to pre-order. Same thing with our website, cannibalcorpse.net, and yeah, hopefully everybody enjoys it. Pick one up, get it now, get it when it comes out, but it's coming out pretty soon, so I hope you all enjoy it.